Hey guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at the new MMO launched by Amazon Games, New World. Feeling a lot better, thanks for the outpouring of well wishes. I say outpouring, but for me 2 is definitely an outpouring. In fact, it's 2 more than expected, so thanks for that, guys. So New World, I will preface this by saying this won't be a full review, purely because it's an MMO and I need to spend pretty much weeks with it in order to get a full grip on everything there is to offer. So I will give you my impressions so far and what I think of the game, the gameplay, and the various issues around it. Now, let's address the elephant in the room, the fact that it appears to be popping graphics cards. We've seen quite a lot of evidence. I watched a video today from Jay's 2 cents actually showing that it was using more than 100% of the allocated power available for the graphics card, meaning it was drawing up to 400 watts in some degrees, and basically not paying a huge amount of attention to any limits you set upon it. I've not had my graphics card go pop, but if any of you would like to see me try and pop a 3090 with it, feel free to send me one. Because I ain't buying one. Not for that purpose anyway. But yeah, I've not really had any issues with it. What I've done in the footage I've captured is I've set to VSync, so it's pretty much locks to 60 frames. So it's not using all of my graphics card's capabilities. Just in case. I haven't had any problems, but I won't lie and say I'm a little bit nervous while playing it. So with that out of the way, let's move on to the game itself. Now, the storyline is pretty forgettable, really. It's just more of an excuse to show you how to do things in this world they've created. And the world they've created is it's pretty good looking. The environments look nice. It's no sort of tech demo sort of level graphical experience, but it does look good. The gameplay, I'm really ambivalent about the gameplay because it's touted as like, oh, it's this action-based RPG, like something like Tabula Rasa used to be, if you remember that back in the day. So you have essentially 3 buttons that you press while fighting: light attack, which you hold down for a heavy attack, so that's technically 1 button, so perhaps I should say 2. Right mouse button, which blocks, and shift, which rolls, so there are actually 3 and I forgot one, so I'm an idiot. You do have special abilities. You can have up to 3. These are dependent on whatever weapon you're wielding. The weapon that you wield will go up in level, so if you wield a lot of swords, then your swords will go up. If you wield spears, your spears will go up. Muskets go up, that sort of thing. And as they level up, you get points to put into their particular skill tree. They're not that in-depth, the skill trees. Each basic weapon type has 2 trees, and you can put your points into either of them. You can only slot 3 skills at the same time, despite being able to unlock 6 overall. So you have to choose which one you want. So that's nice. I think the main problem with the combat is it's not very responsive. So many times I've blocked ahead of getting hit, but still been hit because the character doesn't react fast enough. So you kind of develop into, certainly in the early game, block, 2 light attacks, and then go back to hold and block until he hits you, then 2 light attacks, and that's all the combat is. At least for the regular enemies, or the guys that aren't out-leveling you massively or anything like that. So I like the idea of the combat, I like the weapons upgrade system, but the combat itself is pretty sluggish. It's not very deep, and as I say, because you can't reliably have it block when you press block. Instead it blocks like a little bit later. You tend to find yourself sort of blocking ahead of time. So you're not getting in as many strikes as it may be possible, because you have to allow for that delay in blocking. Obviously not such an issue if you decide to play like a ranged class, so you'll be kiting people around the place. I've not really gotten into it because I can't work out how to make bullets. I've got a musket, but I can't work out how to make bullets. I mean, some tutorials are really good, some of the tutorials are not there. There's like stuff I don't know how to make, but I can see it's in like the recipe list. I don't know whether I have to go and buy those recipes, find those recipes, or if I should just try making it and it'll unlock the recipe. But it doesn't really make sense, because if that happens, why bother locking it in the first place? Just have it locked by the ingredients you have on hand. There's a lot in the crafting side of it though, so kudos for that. I'm surprised that it makes lumberjacking a thing that's fun. I quite like it. There's just something about it that makes me want to do it more, so I'm now like able to cut down the more mature trees, and that gives you a different type of wood, so you go from being able to make like planks of wood to lumber or something like that. But you need sandpaper to do it, but I don't know where to get the sandpaper from outside of pickup, so it's kind of like I kind of like want to like be this production line in crafting, but I can't because I'm continually blocked by like not knowing where to get shit from. And some of it's okay, so if you like you want to make the lumber and it's like aged wood, okay, you hover over the aged wood, and where does that come from? Oh, it comes from mature trees. Okay, so I need to level up my tree cutting ability to 50, and then I can cut down the mature trees, get the aged wood, and make the lumber. So that's all fine. But when you hover over stuff like sandpaper, it's like pick up or transmog, and you need to go and get a transmog from a faction. And you're like, well, what? Why do I need to change something into a sandpaper? Why can't I just make sandpaper? So it's kind of like, I don't know. I mean, it might just be my unfamiliarity with it that is causing this, but for me, it's kind of like taking one of the upsides of the game and making it just less fun. I don't know whether it's doing that to like sort of draw it out so you're still learning crafting skills when you're like hitting the level cap and stuff like that, but it's there. It needs mounts. Just completely going to another topic. It needs mounts desperately. You do have the opportunity to fast travel, but you have to have been there first. And you can only fast travel for certain points, so inside of settlements or fast travel locations, stuff like that. And it costs a resource, I think it's Azoth. You do have 1,000 sort of unit Azoth cap, so you can't just like build it up and wander everywhere. So, I mean, generally the places that I've gone have like cost 50, so I'm like normally at the cap. There's no chance of me running out, but like you'll have a quest marker in the middle of nowhere where you've not been before, and it's like 3 kilometers away, and you have to walk all that way, and then you get there and it's on top of like a mountain, and you're trying for hours to work out your way up this mountain, and then you look at the map a bit closer and discover, oh look, there's a bridge. And then you have to find your way up to the top to get onto the bridge. It's just something that really rubbed me the wrong way about the Switch Zelda game as well. The one, oh, I can't remember what it's called. Breath of the Wild. There you go, I remembered something. It was just like, it was a where the fuck do I go kind of game. It's like, go here, okay, how do I get there? Yeah, I don't know either. You work it out. Thanks. I mean, for me, I'm all about just finishing quests, going back, getting the quest drops, but like when you have to run like 3 kilometers either way, it's just like, yeah, just, oh no, it's, you spend far too much time just running about the place. I mean, it's a nice place to run through, don't get me wrong, it looks nice, and obviously you can level up your gathering skills on the way if you want, but still, I mean, I've literally quit the game and gone and done something else because I just cannot be bothered to walk 3 kilometers in game. I mean, I can't be bothered to walk 3 kilometers in life, obviously, but it's not what I want to spend my leisure time doing. It's like, at least give us the ability to get mounts so we don't have to like spend so much time walking, or open up the fast travel a bit further. I know normally you have to go to the fast travel points, so maybe that's kind of unfair to say, but And especially when like your route takes you through areas that are like 10 levels above you and you're desperately trying not to get gonked by something. You know, have the actual areas, the layout and the quest layout that makes sense, and not send you through places where if you get spotted, you're dead. No chance to do anything really, you just die. Which is slightly annoying. I mean, it would make sense to just like have you progress through areas that you were leveled to. Like in the Old Republic, where you go to the planets, and each planet has a level range, and you get 2 missions at a time, and you look at which one is in your level range. You go do that one first, and then the higher one second. They shouldn't be exposing you to like instant death scenarios if you get spotted just because you've been walking for fucking like 2 kilometers to get to a place, and all of a sudden you respawn back at the inn at the start. You can set up camps. I'll give them that. So you can set up camps. It takes some wood and some flint to do it, but you can do it, and you can set that as your respawn point. You can also craft from them as well. But you're sort of at the point where you're like, oh, it's only a kilometre, I'm almost there. And you don't really think about it. It's that whole thing about like people becoming complacent with autosaves. You're just like, oh, just trot on. You know, nothing's going to happen. Nothing bad. And something bad happens, and you're like, oh, that's 3 kilometres. I got to walk again now. Wonderful. I'm also not a huge fan of the chosen aesthetic. That's completely personal choice, though. I mean, you look like conquistadors and pirates and stuff like that. I'm not a huge fan of that. I think a lot of the time, I think it looks ugly and garish. But that, as I say, is entirely personal taste. You may love it. I don't, but you know, someone else might. I think ambivalent is probably the best way to describe my feelings on the game itself. There are times when I'm playing it, I'm having a really good time. And there are times when I'm playing it and I want to be doing anything else but playing it. As I say, I spent like an hour trying to find my way up a fucking cliff before discovering a bridge. And that was just irritating because the jumping and climbing seems to, generally speaking, just work when it wants to work. So you'll never see like, oh, that's the same height as I've climbed before, and he'll jump up and grab onto it, and you try it and he just doesn't grab it. And you're just like, I don't know why you're not doing that. So you're sort of, well, I don't know if it's me misaligning myself or whether I physically can't get up there, so you spend more time trying to do it before like giving up. And you know, let's face it, when a game is like drawing really inconsistent power, I mean, apparently it doesn't go exclusive full screen either, it just goes borderless full screen. That's, you have windowed and borderless full screen, even though it calls it full screen. There's definitely some instances of bad coding in there, even without taking into account the excess power draw that could pop a graphics card and has. I really think they need to tighten that up. As I say, I've not had no problems, generally speaking, from bugs. I mean, frame rate wise, inside of town centres it'll be between like 30 and 50, but obviously the busier it is with more player characters on the screen and all that, then the heavier it's going to hit. And I've got it like fully maxed out as well, I just mentioned that. But generally speaking, out in questing areas in the wilderness, it's running at a steady 60 or near to it. I mean, I could take it down and get a better frame rate, but I mean, I'm capping it with VSync at 60, so I don't really see the point of taking it down if it's that close anyway. I mean, my graphics card isn't working as hard as it could be to achieve that. It's usually running around 70%. So just to have like that buffer, I'm okay with it being around there and performing the way it does. It's not a bad performer. I mean, it's like any MMO. Once it gets really busy on the screen, you're going to start losing frames, because you will generally see, like, in city centers, they're really busy, many more character models than you would in a single player game in the same sort of area. They're just layered upon each other. It almost looks like someone's taken a copy and paste or just sprayed all over the damn place. But anyway, guys, that's New World. I mean, I'm running a 2080 Super, which is a relatively, high spec card, and a bit of a power drawer, but not too bad. I mean, certainly if you're running a 3090, would I recommend getting it? Possibly not until it's been sorted out. I mean, I know you can lower your power limit on your card and stuff like that to try and offset it, but I mean, when you're talking a card that expensive and for which you probably had to pay well over the odds to get, with the current market as it is, I probably wouldn't risk it, man. It's not like a game that is going to change the way we think about gaming. It is a game that takes a lot of stuff from a lot of different games and does most of it competently. But very little of it's new. It just feels like Amazon have been paying attention for the last few years and, cherry-picked what worked in other games to input into this one. And there's nothing wrong with doing that unless you explode people's graphics cards doing it. Anyway, guys, that's New World. Let me know down below if you're playing it and what you think about it. As I say, I'm ambivalent because I enjoy it and I don't enjoy it kind of like at different times, so I'll probably continue playing it, although I'm still nervous about doing it. But I'll continue playing it, and if it's got any better in the end game, I'll let you know. Because you can actually take over settlements as like clans and set your tax rates and defend it and stuff like that. You have invasions and you can sign up to help and things. So it's got a lot of interesting stuff, but it's just interesting stuff that we've seen before in other games. Anyway, that's me done. Take it easy, guys. I'll catch you next week.